My name is Afaf Mishriki, and I will be presenting with Amani Demian, and we're both working at the American University in Cairo, the Department of English Language Instruction. And today we're going to be talking to you about teacher well-being, particularly nurturing teaching well-being amidst stress and burnout. So we're taking you all the way from AI and all the technology and Moodle and everything to our well-being, which I think is very, very important for us and for our students and for our families and for everybody. So this is our outline. We'll start with a little introduction. We'll talk about the significance of teacher well-being. Why is it important and why do we want to present on it? Some definitions of well-being, the stressors and what are the sources of stress that we face in our teaching and in our lives, coping strategies, and conclusion. All right, so to introduce the topic, I'd like to say that we're all in the same boat when it comes to being stressed out in our job, to the extent of experiencing periods of burnout, or at least being on the verge of burnout. As teachers, we're not really superhuman beings, and we cannot be perfect all the time. So someone said that every time I facilitate a workshop on faculty stress, participants tell me that their biggest takeaway is knowing that other people feel the same way they do. All right, so it's good to know that other people are not as perfect as us as well, and that we have our ups and downs, and we sometimes experience periods of burnout, okay, and things like that, and that we need to be careful about our well-being. All right, so what's the significance of teacher well-being? Research says that teacher well-being and students' performance are intrinsically connected. So we care so much for our students, and we want to serve them well. If we're not in a good state, that may eventually reflect on our students. So our well-being will have a positive impact on our students, okay? The main reason for entering the profession for us is the conviction that as teachers, we make a difference in our students' lives. We opted for this profession, not anything else, because we saw something worthwhile in it, a worthwhile like mission. We wanted to connect humanly with our students. However, in 2019, it was found that 57% of the teachers left the profession due to stress, resulting in very negative things like health issues and others, which is really shameful. Yani that although we have a passion for this kind of profession, we sometimes are forced to leave it because of factors that relate to our lack of well-being. Okay, also, research has shown that by tracking the level of stress hormone of more than 400 elementary students, it was found that the teachers who reported higher levels of burnout had students with higher levels of stress hormone, cortisol, each morning. So in other words, classroom tension could be contagious. If you're not well, this will affect your students, and therefore the whole experience will not really be a very good one. Okay, so to serve their students well, teachers must be motivated and enthusiastic. In order to do so, they have to enjoy a sense of well-being. Okay, so a well-being is a means to success. So if you're doing well, if you're feeling well, you can succeed, you can do a good job. If not, that may be a bit doubtful. Well-being is a means to good emotional and psychological state. Okay, it's a means to happiness. A happy teacher will will be reflected on her students or his students. Also, well-being is a means to much better teacher and student satisfaction, and therefore to better performance. Okay, so burnout is a sign of compromised sense of well-being. All right, so burnout is described as a psychological syndrome of emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, and reduced personal accomplishment that can occur among individuals who work with other people in any kind of capacity. All right, so we have to be very careful about burnout. We have to be alert about any signs that we may be approaching burnout. We have to try to avoid that as much as possible because it is an indication of our lack of well-being. All right, so what are the signs of burnout that we need to be careful about? The first one is physical symptoms, like sleep disorder, like chronic fatigue, like recurring headaches and digestive problems. So if you continuously or regularly have these symptoms, watch out for them. They may be early signs for burnout. So you have to be very careful. Another sign is emotional exhaustion, all right, like stress, anxiety, lack of self-confidence, irritability, and overthinking. So in other words, if you have these signs, you better be careful because that may be something that will compromise your well-being and therefore your ability to do your job as a teacher. Decreased engagement. Okay, you sometimes may feel that I'm not really engaged. I feel detached. I don't really care. But if you're a teacher, you cannot be disengaged. It will affect your relationships with your students. It will affect your performance. So be careful about that. Other sign is reduced job performance. You might have been a great teacher. You might have been doing very well, but then things are not going very well now. And this can result from trying to fulfill many demands, doubting your abilities, not being recognized for your effort, or being repeatedly criticized. Another sign of burnout is increased emotional distance. So maybe you don't really want to interact very much with your students or with your colleagues or with your friends or even your relatives or whatever, and that can be a sign of burnout to watch out for. Okay, so let's move on to some definitions of well-being. Okay, so one of the early influential references to well-being appeared in the World Health Organization's 1947 Constitution, which defined well-being or health, sorry, as a state of complete physical and social well-being, not merely the absence of disease of infirmity. So if your health is okay, but you're not emotionally well, or you're not socially well, or you're not mentally well, then you're not really totally healthy. Okay. Seligman and Case 2014 defined well-being as the improvement of quality of life by focusing on strength and already existing resources. Seligman 2011 also identified the 5 pillars of well-being, which are sometimes called the PERMA model. All right, the 4 components of the PERMA model are positive emotions, which means that you are feeling good about your job, for example, about coming to work, about you have feelings of joy, pleasure, warmth, comfort, and so on. Engagement means you're absorbed in your work. You want to learn, you want to improve, you want to engage in professional development, you're actively involved with your colleagues, with your students, and so on. Relationships, which means good relationships with your students, with your colleagues, and everybody else at work or in your life. Meaning means you find your job meaningful. You find your life meaningful, you feel that you have a good mission, and achievement of your goals, doing something worthwhile, and gaining recognition. Another definition from Hugh Clench They describe 5 components of well-being as well. Cognitive well-being, being ability to process information, to gain knowledge, to succeed in your daily life and work. Emotional well-being, self-awareness, emotional management, and ability to meet challenge. Social well-being means being positively engaged with other people, having empathy, maintaining good relationships. Physical well-being, and that relates to health and safety. Spiritual well-being means a sense of purpose and finding meaning in life. And I'll leave the floor to Amani to walk you through other aspects of well-being.
Okay. Now, as teachers, we face, and as human beings, we face many stressors, and especially in the teaching profession. And this is because, as the quote says here, teaching is a profession that is beset by changes due to the reconceptualization and restructuring of education. So we're always, redefining our teaching goals, the curriculum, techniques, strategies, introducing new technology like AI now is causing us a lot of stress, and having to teach online because of the pandemic, and this was totally new to us. So we're always facing challenges and stressors, and we have to cope with these and be up to the expectations and do a good job with our students, and also feel that we are succeeding in our jobs. Now, we are going now to discuss some of the stressors, or a lot of the stressors that we as teachers and as people face in this profession. The first set of stressors has to relate to students. And this comes in many, many shapes and forms, like the numbers of students we have in class, the class composition, what kinds of students do we have, the quality of the students, their proficiency, their abilities, their mindsets, how do they view being in an English course, Some of them feel this is a waste of time, I don't have to be here, I don't belong here, I really don't need it. And also we're getting more and more students with disabilities, physical disabilities, mental disability, emotional disabilities, and also the students' level of motivation. All this and others relate to the students who are our, very important partner in the situation of learning and teaching. Also, we have to deal with the facilities of the classrooms, the technology in the classroom, the labs, the libraries, the auditoriums, the hostels, and where the students live, and the outlets, the parking areas. Are we facing, now some of my colleagues, teach at 11:30, but they have to come to the institution at 8:30 or 9 to find a place to park because it's always overcrowded. Commuting, some others have to commute for 2 hours back and forth, from their homes to the institution. And the support staff, do we have enough people helping us or not, with our scheduling, with, maybe printing papers, whatever. And the security, is it safe to be on campus or not? Do we have people, providing safety for ourselves and for our students? Also, we have to deal with administrators. Like, for instance, the flexibility, the fairness, are we fairly evaluated or not? Are they receptive to our demands or our, requests? Do we set for us realistic expectations, or their expectations are not realistic and too high to meet? Mentoring, we have to be mentoring junior faculty, and this is also a load on us. Scheduling, does it fit our, other obligations and commitments in life? Or, if I ask for a late schedule, am I giving an early schedule? So this upsets my whole life for a semester or two. Appraisals, as I said, are we fairly, evaluated and assessed? Do we get our promotions, or we are told, we don't have enough resources? Yes, you deserve the promotion, but I'm sorry, we won't give it to you because we don't have enough in our budget to give you what you really deserve. Tenure, are we tenured, or we have to set for renewal every 2 or 3 or 4 years, and whether or not we're going to get renewed or not? All these are very complicated and very stressful stressors. The workload also, the teaching load, are we asked to take overloads? And, this is also very demanding and very frustrating. Suitable hours, as I said before. And also beside teaching, we get to do administrative, assignments. Some of us have to work as assessment specialist or as directors of a program, and committee work. We have to engage in committee work. Otherwise, we're not, rightfully evaluated. So our teaching is not only what is required of us. There are so many other tasks that we're required to do nowadays that were not, part of our job 10 or 15 years ago. Also professional development and presentations at conferences, or doing action research and so on. All these are requirements. And also we have to conference with our students, and we have to advise our students, academic advising and otherwise, maybe personal advice, when they turn to you for help, for advice, if they're having personal problems, and you cannot just shut your door. You have to be welcoming, and you have to give them the time they need. And cultural and social participation in the institution, other events that we have to take part in, and also we have to plan them and make sure everything is running well. So we're really under a lot of stress as teachers nowadays. Financial also salaries. Are we compensated for inflation? Like in Egypt, the economic situation, are we compensated or not? The fringe benefits, raises, do we get our raises? For some, for many, many years, we had zero increase because of the economic situations. Also promotions, we can ask for them, we can be, eligible to get them, but we don't. Holidays and overloads and so on. Also the physical load, long hours of lesson planning, corrections, conferencing with students, attending meetings, working on committees, administrating and grading exams, also because we proctor exams, and we have to report results and write students, written reports on their feedback reports. Also, all this in addition to our own personal lives, our own families, and commitments to our maybe parents, our children, grandchildren, all the family commitments that we have to attend to as well. Social stressors, like our relationship with students, with all sorts of problems. Now, students can see you as too strict, too firm, or, asking for too much of them to do. They do not, see your point of view of how you want them to succeed and do better. And this requires them to do extra work or do more work than what they expect to do. Also with colleagues, you have to maintain good relationships and see it as collaboration rather than competition. The support staff, sometimes they're not very cooperative. Sometimes they feel, they're inferior, or you're treating them not as equals, but as, some people who have to work for you. So this is a very sensitive kind of relationship. Administration as well, as I said before, and also, as I said, our families. Emotion and psychological labor. Students with psychological, physical, or social problems, of course, are a load on our shoulders that we have to be very wise and very compassionate and very understanding and empathetic in dealing with. And also we have, sometimes we have to bear the blame from the administrators or from the students themselves, that we are the people responsible for their bad performance or bad grades, or for them failing the course. They always throw the blame, most probably, and they throw the blame on the teacher. And also sometimes the curriculum is very unrealistic, and we're, overwhelmed by many learning outcomes that are far above the students' heads, and are also not fitting with our time constraints and what we have to accomplish in a semester's time. Extremely high workload. This is what I'm referring to. Pressure about living up to expectations. You're expected, you're a good teacher, then students have to pass or whatever. We're not given enough resources or support. As I said before, consistently having to learn new information. And we have to learn to, accept things like AI that we feel in our situation when we're language teachers does not fit, because we want to raise our students' proficiency, and we cannot let them, resort to AI, because this is defeating our purpose of them having better language abilities and learning the new technology. And, for us, Zoom 4 years ago was a challenge that, we're now used to it, and we enjoyed, presenting on Zoom. But before, this was a challenge that we learned how to deal with. So we always have to be update ourselves, upgrade our abilities, and so on. Also dealing with students, sometimes with parents, and also the initiatives that are on a semester by semester basis are, we have to introduce new initiatives, and we have to accept them, and we have to incorporate them, and so on. Then our person, of course, emotion and psychological labor, dealing with all these stressors and, fitting the image of ourselves, that we are capable and successful, and we are doing a good job. Afaf?
I don't know.
What's wrong?
Just a second. I'll stop sharing and share one more time.
Right.
Sorry.
That's okay. Okay, now coping strategies. Now, how can we deal with all these stressors?
I don't know, something went wrong.
You want to stop sharing and
It's
I'll
okay.
share my...
Can you see my screen now?
Yes. Coping strategies. Now we have to find ways to cope with these, all these stressors and challenges, and feel comfortable. And to do so, smart teachers, and SMART here stands for self, motivation, activity, relationships, and time, know that making their well-being a priority is not selfish or something to feel guilty about. Instead, it is a recognition of personal worth and the fact that everyone, teachers and learners, benefit if teachers look after themselves and are well-being smart. So it's not, you should not feel guilty when you give priority to trying to achieve some self well-being, because this will reflect, as Afaf said, on not only on you and your life at work and at home, but also on your students, because it is contagious. And when teachers are stressed, students are also stressed. And some studies show even physical, changes in the students. Their cortisol level raises because they are stressed, because the classroom is stressed, because the teacher who regulates, who controls the classroom environment is also stressed. So there are, Afaf, a number of coping strategies, and these can be achieved through adopting three main mindsets. The first mindset is empathy for ourselves, or acknowledging our emotional labor. We have to acknowledge that we are exhausted, that we're tired, that we need to slow down or to adapt some techniques and strategies that would help us, face these stressors and challenges and move on smoothly in life. And for emotional labor is the management of feeling, to create a publicly observable facial and bodily display. So when we're stressed and we are exhausted and we are not emotionally in a good state, we look at, it shows on our faces and on the way even we move, our postures. So how can we have this mindset of being, empathetic with ourselves, is through practicing self-awareness. So these are, some of these might, sound very unrealistic or idealistic, but even if we can achieve some of them, this will be, a step towards achieving well-being. So some of the practices for self-awareness are staying calm and focused, being aware of the stories you're telling yourselves. You're telling yourself, خلاص, I'm too tired, maybe I should retire, maybe this is not the job for me, maybe I should, find a career shift. Or no, what stories you can say, oh, this is okay, I'll catch up, I'll be better, I will be able to face these challenges, I've been successful before, so why not, I'll be successful more now and in the future. And know that emotions can be contagious, both positively and negatively. So whether we have positive or negative emotions towards what we're doing, this will be passed on to our students, our colleagues, our families, and so on. The second way to be kind to yourself is to give up the illusion of perfection. Nobody's perfect, and you should not expect yourself to be perfect. So try to limit your availability. Saying yes all the time is very, exhausting, and there is no harm in saying no. Sometimes you have to say no and stick to it. And set boundaries for work. Work and life cannot be separated. However, we can try to balance between them. because ever since technology has become so influential in our lives, there are no work hours. We are on call 24/7, 12 months a year. You're reached anywhere you are all the time, any time of the day, any time of the year, even during summer holiday, you are there, and set quality time to meet and socialize with people you like, with your family, with your friends. And so time management is very important, and create communication norms and expectations for yourself, with your colleagues and families. And, you can tell your students, I will not answer email during the weekends, for instance. Very difficult to maintain, but we have to try. Also, keeping a gratitude journal is very important. And this is when we look at, a quote, for instance, that will inspire us. Or, you can look back and say, today, I'm grateful for what happened, 3 things that I'm grateful for. Maybe one of my students came and said, thank you, this was a very good class, or I really appreciate your efforts. So try to focus on these very little, gestures or comments that can make you feel, energized the following day, because at least there is one student who came and said, thank you, so I am making a difference in one person's life. So this is even worth the try, worth the challenge, worth the effort and everything. The second mindset, Afaf. Okay, the second mindset is empathy for others. And these others would be the administrators, the colleagues, the students, and the family. And to do so, we have to focus on the positive aspects of the job and personal life. Now, try to be to look at the half of the glass that is full, not the empty half, because there is always positives in lives, even amidst hardships and trials and challenges. And cognitive reappraisal, this is if there is a particular stressor that you cannot control, try to think of ways, or try to think of something positive about it, and try to accept it. Afaf? Okay, look for opportunities in the challenges. So challenges have opportunities, because when you meet the challenge and succeed, you feel the victory and you learn. We learn from challenges and we learn from failures. And this is just part of life and of growing and learning and achieving and becoming more fulfilled. Take a solution-focused approach. So when you see a problem, say, how can I deal with it? So what? Now what? Practice reframing. Reframe the problem in terms or in a way that will make you able to deal with it, not get stuck. Don't get stuck, Go ahead, find ways, reframe. And demonstrate compassion toward others. Not only you facing, you're not the only one facing problems or challenges, but others too. And everybody has to deal with their own problems. And try always to put yourself in other people's shoes and to be empathetic, not only sympathetic. Don't only say, oh, sorry, I'm sorry, but try to understand how they feel. And maybe then you can help them become better. And developing a growth mindset is very important. A growth mindset means, we learn from our weaknesses, we learn from our failures, and we go on and we become better versions of ourselves. See yourself as a learner who is capable of learning. Okay, new skills. No, please go one slide back, Afaf. Okay, be willing to try new approaches and accept that it's all right to make mistakes. And this is part of a growth mindset. And always set time to reflect. And, what did I learn from this situation? How could I have dealt better with the situation? What could I have done that would have yielded better results? And so on. So reflection is a very important part of our life, whether in our jobs or in our personal lives. We learn from reflection. If we don't reflect, we do not grow. Then the last mindset is prevention. And as it said, prevention is better than cure. So expect problems and try to find answers before they happen. So be farsighted by anticipating the challenges, and be prepared to meet these challenges by preparing scenarios, techniques, reading about them, learning about them, resorting to somebody to help you, and so on. So good planning is very important. Setting a roadmap, how I'm going to deal with this, and providing comprehensive and detailed documents with links, for instance, for students about, questions or problems that you anticipate they're going to face. So, before they face the challenge, give them what will help them not face this challenge or make it easier for them to face and deal with the challenge. and open multiple communication channels, yani through email, through WhatsApp, also before class, after class, during class, be open to the students and do not, limit them to only 1 or 2 channels. Specific and clear availability hours, make this very clear. These are my office hours, and this is the way to approach them. And I'm always there on email, at least during weekdays. So make this availability hours clear to people, because when you are unclear, you're very unkind. Being unclear about your instructions is very unkind to other people. And always have a backup system of support resources for your own well-being and for your own health, physical and mental and psychological health. You can turn to others, maybe psychological, help if you need them, spiritual, trying to get, some quiet time every day where you reflect, where you meditate, where you read your scripture, where you pray, get help to sustain you, to keep you going. And in conclusion, to sum this up, we have 2 quotes that are very helpful. Many of us feel stressed and get overwhelmed, not because we're taking on too much, not only because we're taking on too much, but because we are taking too little of what really strengthens us. So if you feel that spirituality will help you do a better job and face challenges and have better well-being, do this. Psychological, do this. Cognitive, do whatever, and take enough of whatever will make you feel better and live a better life, and decrease the stressors and the load, the emotional load and the emotional labor on yourself. And finally, be adaptable, flexible, and never stop learning. The rate of change will never stop, and neither should you, or neither should we. So especially in this teaching profession, change will never stop. And if we want to continue, we have to learn and adapt and be up to the challenges that we are faced with every now and then. And we can do it.